All right. Shalom Alechem, everybody. Shalom, dear Steve. I see dear Simon is joining us as well right now. Bruchim Habayim to our Wednesday class on Yalkut Yosef. We have touched the topic. Last class was kind of an introduction to Ilchot Tefillah, Ilchot Amidah, Ilchot Shemon Esrei, whatever we want to call it. And today we are going to dive in more to the actual halachot. Still a little bit of the introduction is this question I'm going to ask you now. It's going to develop to a big question, and I think that anybody can answer this question without knowing Torah just by having a svara, it's called, like a thought. You sit sometimes in the Bet HaMidrash, and you see a big rabbi, and you see a guy that's not even, but when a question is asked, it doesn't always necessarily mean that the guy who carries the most knowledge in Torah is going to answer it. Sometimes you just need to think outside of the box. So I want to hear a outside of the box, or maybe not so outside of the box, answer to why, and this is, we left last week's class with this question. If the mitzvah of tefillah is a mitzvah, either from the Torah or from Chachamim, there's a machloket, we said the Rambam holds it is. But if it is a mitzvah, then why is there no bracha on this mitzvah? Baruch haba tomer, right on time for the key question of today. If going and praying Amidah is a mitzvah, from Chachamim or from the Torah, it's a machloket, but everybody agrees it's a mitzvah. Then why don't we say a bracha on this mitzvah? Just like right before we do, I don't know, Netilat Yadayim, al Netilat Yadayim. L'adlik ner Chanukah, we say l'adlik ner Chanukah. Why don't we say a bracha on Asher Tzivanu to go to Tefillah?
Because it's not an action item. You're not acting upon it. You're just spiritually connecting to Hashem. That's why.
Oh, wow, what a nice answer. I think your answer is very close to what the Rashba, Rabbi Shlomo ben Aderet says. He says, this is the action. The rabbi brings 7 different answers, the Yalkut Yosef, but I chose this one answer, and you're directing to it. You understand what he was saying? He's saying it's not about the action, it's about basically about the kavanah. That's what the Rashba says. The action of tefillah is not just standing there and reading words. It's avodah shebalev. It's the work of the heart. Since it's the work of the heart, the kavanah is a necessity. What's going to happen if I say the beracha, then I come to pray, but I don't have the kavanah. I'm not successful today. My kavanah is not there. It may be a bracha levatala. It's like saying borei pri ha'etz and not eating the apple. When I'm going to say a bracha on the tefillah, if I won't have kavanah, it's a problem. So I want to develop this. If you heard of the mitzvah of kibud orim, everybody's heard the mitzvah of kibud orim, right? Your mom or your father, they call you up to say, I want you to give me a cup of coffee. You go and you make the cup of coffee, and right before you place it before them, say, Baruch atah Hashem, Elokeinu melech haolam, asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu, al kibud orim. Do we say that? No, we don't say that. Why don't we say that? Why don't we say al kibud orim? You see an old lady about to cross the street. You want to run to her, help her cross, and there's a mitzvah, v'hadarta penei zaken, to help the elders. Why don't we say, wait, before I do it, Baruch atah asher kiddushanu, to help the elders? Anybody have an idea? There's something in common to these mitzvot that I mentioned, and to all the mitzvot that we don't have a beracha on them.
Well, you really don't want to embarrass the person that you're saying a beracha for your own benefit.
No, I mean, imagine even you say it to yourself and you don't let them say amen. You say it to them and you go to them, okay? But it connects to what you just said, Steve, meaning you said about the tefillah of Amidah, it has to do with kavanah. I respond...
Sorry, I'm just like thinking, like, if you're truly deep down and a good person, if you shouldn't have to think about it to do this specific action you're talking about. Like, you don't even have to second guess it. Like,
very nice. So you're saying there shouldn't be a stop between what you see and what you do. You saw it right away, you're gonna do the mitzvah, because this is an automatic thing. Very nice, very nice. But
maybe it's rabbinical.
Let's say even if it's rabbinical, we just said that the tefillah is rabbinical, and the Netilat Yadayim is rabbinical, Chanukah is rabbinical, but we say a beracha. Why on Chanukah? You could say on Chanukah, once Chanukah comes, it's automatic for me to light candles of Chanukah. So I'm not going to say a bracha. Okay, those elders or the father, or even if the father, not right away. He called you in the morning and he tells you, tonight, come to me with a cup of coffee. Now it's already not right away. There's time. I have all day to think about this mitzvah. still I won't say the Beracha of Al Kibud. So there's something that's in common, is what Steve said about the kavanah with the Amidah. What if I don't have kavanah? The whole purpose of tefillah is kavanah. What if I won't have kavanah? It's going to be a beracha levatala. When a mitzvah is not dependent on me, like lighting a candle, like washing my hands, Baruch haba Yonah. When a mitzvah is dependent on a different thing that I cannot control, then I can't say a bracha on it. Because what happens if I come to with a cup of coffee to my mother, and I'm about to place it on the table, and she says, "Thank you, I'm not thirsty today," and she goes to bed. Whoa, I just said a beracha, and it didn't apply on anything. It's going to be a beracha levatala. I see the old lady, and I'm coming to help her cross the street, and she said, "No, I want to sit here, I want to tan." Yeah. So I said a beracha levatala. Only something that is dependent on me, like the Chanukah candles, like washing our hands, and all the other mitzvot, either from the Torah, from the Rabbanan, I will say, because I have the ability to control them.
But tefillah is dependent on me doing something.
Is it? We're going to learn that. That's a very good comment. Simon is saying, what do you mean? I'm about to pray. So if I'm about to pray right now, if I'm about to pray right now, I'd say a bracha. But the answer is, and we'll see it today, or maybe if not today, later on with the Yalkut, is that even if I'm sitting there and praying and verbalizing, let me give you the halacha from the Shulchan Aruch. Shulchan Aruch says you have to have kavanah in the tefillah. If you missed kavanah in the first beracha of Magen Avraham, if you did not have kavanah over there, whatever kavanah you need to have, Shulchan Aruch says, stop where you are, go back. You have to repeat the tefillah. Why? Because you said without kavanah, it's not worth anything. Tefillah below kavanah, keguf below neshama. Tefillah with no kavanah is like a body with no neshama. There's nothing there. So you could say, it's my job, I'm going to hold the siddur right now. It's dependent on me. I'm going to read. Yeah, but are you going to be able to control every emotion within you to have the right kavanah during the tefillah? Listen to the Ramah. The Ramah is the Ashkenazi rabbi that comments on the Shulchan Aruch. They lived almost in the same generation, meaning obviously touched a little bit. But the Ramah, instead of writing a book that competes with the Shulchan Aruch, he was the Ashkenazi rabbi at the time, he said, no, it's genius, it's amazing. He even writes in one of his comments, Kol hacholek al maran, that whoever goes against the Shulchan Aruch, kecholek al hashchina, is like someone that goes against the Shekhinah. But here and there, he wrote different comments for the minagim, for the customs the Ashkenazis do and what they follow. Regarding this comment of the Shulchan Aruch, where he said, if I didn't have kavanah in Magen Avraham, I have to repeat the whole Amidah, says the Ramah, but what makes you think that if you're going to repeat the Amidah, you're going to have kavanah this time? There's no guarantee on kavanah. How can we have guarantee on kavanah? My mind goes to a million places. The children, the work, the parnasah, this. There's no guarantee. So to answer your comment, Simon, it's in my control to an extent. It's in my control to verbalize the words. But it's in my control to have kavanah? Halacha lemaaseh. Over here, we don't follow Shulchan Aruch. We follow the Ashkenazim, we follow the Ramah that says, do not repeat it, because we cannot be sure that when you're going to repeat it, you're going to have the proper kavanah. So by not having kavanah, it's not a sufficient reason to repeat Amidah, because if I repeat it again, I'm most likely not going to have the perfect kavanah again. Maybe. Let's see. So this is a thing for us. If we want to be a Tzei Chovat Amidah, according to Shulchan Aruch, at least the first Beracha of Magen Avraham, when we start Hashem Sifatei Tiftach, have focus. Later on, if we lose the way, hopefully not, but we're human beings, we're not angels. This may happen. But the first bracha, according to the Shulchan Aruch, if I didn't have kavanah, I have to repeat. And even so, even that we're saying this comment, halacha is not like that. If you didn't have kavanah, continue. There's no guarantee on kavanah. So the bottom line is that when we do not have control over the item, we cannot say a beracha on it. Who knows if we'll have the proper kavanah? And tefillah is not just verbalizing words. Tefillah is having kavanah. And even though I want to believe that it's in our control, but we're human beings, so there's a limit to how much we can control regarding our kavanah. We should try our best, and that's what we're measured to, how much we're trying. Actually, there's a beautiful, if I'm not mistaken, the Chidah says this. It says if a person wants to know, how am I doing? It's Rosh Hashanah. How did I do this year? How is Hashem looking at me spiritually? Am I learning enough Torah? Am I doing enough mitzvot? My minyanim, my tefillin? How am I doing as a Jew? So I'll give you the formula. He says, when you pray Amidah, next time pray Amidah, if you want, guys, test yourself. This is a good way to test. Next time you're praying Amidah, if you were able to start Hashem Sefatay Tiftach until Oseh Shalom Bimrumav, and your mind was nowhere else but the kavanah of the tefillah, you are in a very high place in Hashem's eyes. That's unbelievable. Meaning, by saying that, we understand that it's very hard to succeed. It's a journey. People, that's why it says that Chachamim, the Gemara says that the tzaddikim, they would come to the tefillah an hour before, and they would stay after the tefillah an hour later, focused. You want to call it meditating, whatever you want to, but they needed to be there to prepare themselves for the tefillah. And the big tzaddikim, they say that the neshama would leave them and they would go up and they would come back down. There's a great ability to connect to HaKadosh Baruch Hu through the tefillah. Hopefully, I think the main time people that, don't do special kavanot like the Mekubalim, but main time we feel it is if something is up and someone has a real prayer from the heart, sometimes even crying, you feel something happen. You felt the tefillah. The tefillah is supposed to make a person different from what he was. Did we talk about this last time? Yeah, we said that why is the tefillah able to change Hashem's decree? Hashem is perfect, and if he decided something, then how are we changing his mind? One of the reasons that we are able to pray is because we said the decree is on person A. But if I'm praying, if I'm breaking my heart, if I'm not the same person, if I gained humility and closeness to Hashem, I'm not that person anymore. The decree was on that person that was far from Hashem. I'm a new person right now. Since I'm a new person, I'm able to be. So that's the goal of the tefillah, to connect, to become someone new, to look back and say, oh my God, who was that guy before I prayed Shmoneh Esrei? I can't believe I was that guy. Look who I am now. Imagine if on every tefillah we look back and we feel that. Where are you going to go? Ad 120. Usually, most people throughout their life, they grow in Torah. They knew Sefer Bereshit and Shmot, Vayikra, Dvarim. Then they learned a little Tanakh, then they learned Mishnayot, Pirkei Avot. They're not, at 50 years old, they're not the same guy as they were at 45 or 40 or 35. There's growth. With tefillah, I wish we could say the same. I wish we could say the same, but in reality, you see, it's not the same. People aim always to grow in Torah, hopefully, yeah? But do people always say, I want to get better at tefillah, I want to have more kavanah? Not enough. So what we're doing now is we're learning the halachot of tefillah. Hopefully this will motivate us, Be'ezrat Hashem. All right, so let's dive right in to halachot tefillah. First of all, the source. As Yigal asked in our chat after the class last week, what would be the source? He brought a pasuk. I told him this is the pasuk. The pasuk says, "Va'avadtem et Hashem Elokechem," and you shall serve your God. Avodah is work. Chachamim say, what does it mean we should serve, we should work to Hashem? When there was korbanot, there was work. The Kohanim would bring the korban, and that was, that sacrifice was for us, and it was kapara, etc. Nowadays, when we don't have that, the pasuk says, Uneshalma parim, we pay the cows, meaning the animals, the sacrifices, sifatenu, through our lips. Instead of korbanot, our lips, the lip work is what's happening. But the pasuk doesn't say lip work. It says va'avadtem, and you should serve, you should work. Achamim say, what is it work? The work of the heart. Tefillah is work of the heart. So this is the source. Anyone asks you, how do we know that we are obligated to pray? Either from Chachamim or from the Torah, machloket. But how do we even know that we have to? The pasuk says, because, and you shall serve your God. How do we serve our God? The avodah, the work of the God. Chachamim say, the work is through the tefillah. That's our way. As we've learned in the past, what is the most ideal time to pray Amidah? Anybody remember? Amidah, the most ideal time. In the morning, I'm talking.
Nets.
In the morning, it's Nets. Nets, sunrise, exactly when sunrise begins. By the way, Chazak Baruch Tomer. By the way, Steve, I had homework that I never got back to you regarding the Talit and the Tefillin. So what we said was true, that Talit and Tefillin is not from Alot HaShachar. It's not from dawn. It's 12 minutes or calculated minutes, as we've learned. Shaot Zimaniot, 12 minutes later. It's 1 hour before sunrise. That's the time to put on Talit and Tefillin, not from dawn. So if dawn is 72 minutes before, you have to wait those 12 minutes in case you're, in a very early mood of putting on Tefillin and Talit, and you come an hour before Netz to shul. Talit and Tefillin, you have to wait an hour before Netz. All right, yeah, so the Netz is the most ideal time to pray Amidah, which means that Shema, the best time to say it is about 2-3 minutes before Amidah, before the Netz, and then you complete the Tefillah in the most ideal way. Not to say that other ways of praying are not good, but we're looking at the ideal. This is learned from a pasuk, Yira'ucha im shamesh, and you shall be seen with the sun. which means once the sun hits, if you pray, Hashem sees you, that's the most ideal time. Now, what happens? There's something in Israel called Minyan Po'alim, the Minyan of the workers that work in construction or workers that work in certain jobs where once they leave their city and go to work, they're not going to be able to pray. It's all physical all day. There's no break. They don't have an opportunity to put on tefillin later. But also, their workday begins at 5 o'clock in the morning. Let's say they work from 5 to 2. You have people that's their schedule. So those type of people, what do they do with tefillah? They have to pray, obviously, at a certain point, but they're not going to be able to pray at work. We allow them to pray before netz, not before dawn. Before dawn, it's still arvit. There's no shacharit, no matter what. But once dawn hit, alot hashachar, as we call it, 72 minutes, in those 72 minutes between dawn and the netz, those that are po'alim, we say, okay, you have no choice. You have work. You're not going to be able to pray anytime later. We allow you to pray in this time. But now I'm not one of those workers. I'm just, joining the Minyan because I know that later I have a meeting and I won't be able to pray in the Minyan. So what's better? It says the Yalkut Yosef, would it be better for me to join a Minyan that is praying a little early because they have a justified reason and praying with a Minyan? Or would it be better to not have a Minyan because after that there's no Minyan? Let's say the Kanisa only has the 5 o'clock Minyan, which is before sunrise. After that, everybody goes to work. Would it be better for me to pray with them in a Minyan or to pray alone, but at the right time, at the Netzach Hama?
With a Minyan, probably.
Sorry?
I'm guessing with a Minyan.
You're guessing with a Minyan. Anybody want to guess differently? So you'll be surprised. There's a machloket. Your opinion right now is the opinion of Chacham ben Zion Abba Shaul, which was the rabbi and Rabbi Ben Chaim has learned with him in Yeshivat Yalkut Yosef. But a lot of the times, Chacham ben Zion goes against the words of Rabbi Ovadia and obviously his son, the Yalkut Yosef. And the chief rabbi of Israel today, the Yalkut Yosef, says no. It's better to pray on time than to pray a minyan that's not really on time. Be alone, it's okay, but don't act. The only reason we allow them is because they don't have an ability to do it. But you have an ability. Pray alone. It's better to do that.
Yeah, but I remember in the past, we've spoken about how it's always better to pray in a Minyan.
Oh, watch this. Maybe now after we make the next comment, it'll organize it in your mind, right? There's something called Mincha Gedolah. On Shabbat and Kanisa, it's always done. It's the 1:30 or 12:45, whatever, depending on the season, Mincha. People come for Shacharit, they have a Kiddush, they say, let me pray Mincha, then I'm free, right? Now, is that Mincha okay? Are we allowed to pray from that hour? Well, the answer is some opinion says you are. But really, it's not like a tchila. It's much better to pray within the 2.5 hours before sun sets. That's the real time. Some opinion says that you're allowed to, but not everybody agrees on it. But if you're joining that minyan, no one's going to go against you. It's okay. Now the question is, some people say, I'm not allowed to pray in that minyan, right? So what is better? Is it better to pray, let's say that's the only minyan, they're only doing early mincha, it's Shabbat and late alvit. Is it better that I pray alone in the time that everybody accepts, later on in the hour before sunset or something like that? Or is it better that I join this minyan right now, even though not everybody agrees that it's a kosher time? Over here, the Yalkut Yosef surprisingly says, pray the early mincha, be with the minyan. The minyan beats the fact that you'll be in the more correct time and pray alone. What happened? Before you said it's better to pray on the right time even if I'm alone. Now you're saying, no, it's better to pray in a minyan than to be in a time that everybody agrees on. What's the difference? Is the question clear, first of all? It seems like he's contradicting himself. But really he's not, because if you notice the words that I use, there's a difference. Anybody want to try? What's the difference between that mincha and the shacharit?
The food. You have to eat a meal.
Very nice. No, that's not the direction that he goes with, but I hear what you're saying.
So you have to pray after a meal, for sure. So rather pray to the minyan.
Sorry, I couldn't understand you again. Say
On
it.
Shabbat, mincha you do after the meal. You eat a meal and then you say mincha, you say kiddush, right? And then you say mincha.
And therefore?
Yeah, so technically you eat something and then you go to mincha in Kanisa, right?
Right.
And then you fulfill that mitzvah. So if there's no minyan at the end of the day, so that's the only minyan, you have to go to that minyan.
Why?
Not-
Why don't I fulfill the mitzvah of
not
eating
if-
a meal and praying mincha even if I'm alone? Why?
I thought you couldn't do it. I thought you need to.
No, I mean, obviously
Yeah.
it's much better. It's always better to have a minyan. But
Right.
sometimes if there's an issue with the minyan, they tell us pray alone, and sometimes they don't. We want to understand why. So the answer is because in Shacharit, praying according to the opinion that you're praying before dawn, everybody agrees that that's not the right time to pray. There's no one that says, yes, you could pray in dawn, no problem. That's the right time. Everybody agrees it's not the right time to pray. But we give you a loophole because you're a worker, because you have problem, we allow, right? Because it's just the avad, no one really agrees about it. Okay, then we allow it, but it's better to pray alone later. But when it comes to mincha, even though there are opinions that it's a wrong time to pray, and everybody may think that that's the conclusion, but no, there's some opinions. It's not the majority, but there's still some opinions that hold that the mincha gedolah, the 1:30 mincha on Shabbat, is kosher, no problem. Is halacha like them? Says Yalkut Yosef, better you pray later. The Tefillah, better you pray later. But since there is an opinion like that, then it would be better to join them in a minyan than to pray alone later. This is a little bit of the, what happens at the Bet Midrash, the thumbs up. Oh, but what if this? But what if that? This is, all right, we're getting into it. Now, another question. We've learned that when someone has to go to the bathroom, he cannot pray, right? He has to pray when he is clean, right? So what happens if right now there's a minyan happening, and I know that I could hold 72 minutes. Someone feels like he has to go to the restroom, but he says it's not so severe. I can hold it for 72 minutes. And remember, that was the criteria of if it's like okay or not okay. So would it be better to join the minyan and hold it, and then in 15 minutes when mincha is over or whatever, I go and I do what I need to do, because anyway I could hold it for 72 minutes? Or would it be better to go now and come back, and I may miss the minyan, but I went to the bathroom first? What would be better?
It all depends. If he really can't hold it in, he has to go. But if
No,
he can
so
hold it in,
that's not a question. Everybody agrees. If you can't hold it in,
okay.
right away, run. But if you can't hold it for 72 minutes, that's already a time that has leniencies. Oh, you can hold it for 72 minutes? Then we start doing calculations. That's already an important time. The calculation is like this.
I like this.
Yeah. Halacha is, if you have to go to the bathroom, even if you can hold, it's better you miss the minyan and go right now to the restroom and then pray alone. That would be better. It's so problematic to have to go to the bathroom while you're praying that even if you can hold it for a long time, go. However, if by going to the restroom now, it's not going to be a 2-minute visit, it's going to be, 20-minute visit because you know yourself. And by doing that, you're going to miss mincha. Let's say sunset is right here. So I'm not only going to miss the minyan, I'm going to miss the whole time of tefillah. I'll have to pray 2 alvit or whatever it is. If that's the case, then since you can still hold 72 minutes, we will allow you to pray in the minyan just so that you don't miss the mincha time. So as Tomer said, if someone really, really had to go, miss it all. There's no question. But if you're able to hold 72 minutes, and by holding, you may miss the time of tefillah by going to the restroom, then we allow you to pray in minyan. But if you're not going to miss the time of tefillah, you're just going to miss the minyan, but go to the restroom like a human being. This is it's a big lesson. Yeah, take it importantly. When someone has to go, you let them go. I'm not even talking about the health aspect where, some Rishon says that it's very unhealthy to hold it, etc. I'm just talking dry halakha right now.
What if we said member number 10?
What if it's what? November.
What if he said the 10th person in the minyan, number 10?
Oh, what a question. So by going, he's ruining the minyan for everybody, huh? Question. I didn't see that. I don't know what to tell you. But You know, it depends again if time is gonna pass or time is not gonna pass.
Right.
If time is gonna pass, then I think they would agree that any way you could pray, as we said. And if time is not gonna pass, and he says, guys, you know, you need me for a minyan. No, let me go. Let me go. Wait 1 sec. What's gonna happen? No, I would think that would be a smart solution. Unless it's a very long visit, then already we have questions. But find another guy. Don't keep 20 people waiting right now. Okay. There's another important halakha that we have to know, and a lot of us are guilty in this halakha. It's called Amirat Shalom. Before tefillah in the morning, this doesn't have to do with tefillah mincha and avit, but the tefillah in the morning, when I wake up, the idea is the first thing I do is pray to Hashem. So I'm not allowed to do stuff to divert me from that. One of the things you're not allowed to do is you are not allowed to say shalom. You're not allowed to go to your friend's house in the morning, knock on their door and say, shalom, how are you? Good morning. Come with me to shul. No, no shalom. Using the word shalom is problematic. Why? Shalom is Hashem's name. I don't know if you know, one of the names of Hashem is shalom. And because it's one of his names, you cannot say it to somebody else before you talk to Hashem. He says, even if you are going to pray right after, and you're going to visit your dad right now, and you want to say shalom to your dad, and so you're in America, you say hello, you know, it's easier. But for Israelis, saying the word shalom is already an issue. By the way, Shabbat shalom is something else. It's not saying shalom, it's saying Shabbat shalom. It's a different combination. But just the word shalom, even to your father before the tefillah, would be a problem. But if you meet someone on the way, let's say to shul, and you don't want to be impolite, better you don't say the word shalom. In Israel, everybody says shalom. You have to find a new combination. Happened to me this week. I went to the Selichot, and the rabbi walks, whatever, he was there, and I said hello to him, but instead of saying shalom, I said, good morning. I said it in English, and he answered back, Safrat Tava, which is Aramaic for good morning. We both were careful not to say shalom before tefillah. Shalom after the tefillah. Even though if you run into somebody randomly and he says shalom to you, it's not a sin because it wasn't planned. The problem is when you plan, when you go to somebody's door to knock on there to see him and to welcome him. Why you welcome anybody before you go welcome HaKadosh Baruch Hu? Morning has arrived. That's who you have to face right now. So if it's on the way, even if you said shalom, okay, it's not. But it's better to avoid it, to be aware. Saying shalom to people before tefillah, we should try to avoid it. All right. By the way, why are we saying this halakha? What's the big deal? Let him say shalom to me, and I won't say shalom back to him. He made a mistake. I know not to say. No, because if someone says shalom to you and you don't answer back, you're considered a gazlan, a thief. He gave you something, you didn't give it back to him. It's important to say shalom, always to greet people. However, we have to know when to be careful. All right. Now regarding, oh my God, time passed so fast. Okay, I can't believe it. Guys, Chazaku Baruch. It's already time, but this was good. It was good. Guys were involved today. Chazaku Baruch.
Thank you, Ziv.
Next week in the same time. Call to Chazaku Baruch. Bye-bye.